When we talk about faith, there are different types of faith. When we talk about the faith towards one's guru, then we talk about three different types of faith. There's the faith of admiration towards the body, the joy of being in his presence, the respect, etc., and the faith of trust in his words. Have trust in what he says and what he teaches, in the path that he shows us. And the third faith is called the faith of the aspiration of the mind, this desire to be like him, to have the same mind. And this is called faith of admiration for the body, faith of the trust in his words, and the faith to like aspire to being the same, wanting to have the same mind as the gurus. And Buddha himself, in one of his sutras, and I read it just yesterday, but I never remember the words in Tibetan, but it said, oh monk or disciple, generally speaking, when you receive teachings, you shouldn't believe blindly, with blind faith, just because something was said. When you receive a teaching, even from me, you shouldn't just believe it because I gave it to you, but you should instead. You should do as if you were buying gold. You need to cut the gold. You need to really, weigh it, see that it's really gold. And, make sure it's not just copper. That gold-plated copper. I mean, So at the time, at the time of Buddha, there weren't the banks that were certifying, the gold. But I also think that maybe they weren't going to buy gold. Today you would go to a bank, but in the past, when someone went to buy gold, one really needed to make sure that it was real. You had to burn it, cut it, and Buddha said, do the same with my teachings. Faith. There's a faith that when we believe in something because we've been told. We believe in something, in someone, because others also believe, and we're influenced by this common view of others. Or often we follow the same faith as our own parents or our family members, our friends, or other people who are close to us in society. And then there's also the faith that has to do with our own experience. When we see something, we touch something, we live that thing, and we said, no, this is true. Because faith, in Tibetan, the definition that is given is it means to believe in the existence and the qualities and the abilities of something. So a simple example would be like, I believe in water because I know that water exists. I know about the qualities of water. It's clean, it's fresh, it's pure. And I also believe in the capabilities of water. It can eliminate thirst, it can nourish, and so I have faith in water. The main faith is based on our own direct experience. A few years ago, I had a wonderful opportunity to have a personal meeting with the Panchen Lama in Tibet. This was in Beijing. In my lifetime, I can assure you that I don't know it's good or bad, but there are few people who can impress me. I mean, when I meet someone, I try to just be very respectful towards everyone, but there are few people that really give me that sensation of wow when they say something or do something. And when I had this meeting, he particularly touched me for many reasons. And now is not the time to talk about that. But one of the things that he said to me, he said, his job, he was talking about himself. He says, my job, my job and the other jobs, the other lamas in Tibet, our job is easy because we're, wherever we go in Tibet and in China, in China and also in Tibet specifically, people have a high level of respect and faith. So we don't need to do anything, without doing anything. People make prostrations, bring offerings, they respect what we say, etc., etc. All of this thanks to the masters of the past who metaphorically cleaned the road, to cleaned away the fallen trees and the holes, and they cleared the road, the path for us. And he said that the real heroes of the Dharma are those like Lama Gangchen, who go where that is um, where that's not possible to go, where people don't have faith, where people don't have this cultural basis. So he was saying these are the real heroes of Dharma. He was saying that these are the ones who are doing what is just really difficult. A few days ago, talking to a geisha, someone for whom I have a lot of respect, someone who knows many Dharma centers around the world. He knows the teachings very deeply. And he said to me, I'm really impressed by the disciples of Rinpoche because you can see they have in Tibetan it's Chugishatse, which means they have the fat of Dharma, because in Tibet something that has fat is something good. It means they have like the essence, they have something real. It's not because it's something that doesn't have fat, something that is a little fake. It doesn't have value. So in Tibetan, when something is said that it has fat, it means it's something that's really is true. And when talking to him a little bit and reflecting, what Rinpoche was able to do in his lifetime, something that's very special, is to not to impose a view or faith, but he brought each person his own experience. Let each person have his own experience. So one believes based on his own experience. One believes based on what he has lived. Something what you can touch with your hands, you can see with your eyes, you can hear with your own ears. It's not something put somewhere put somewhere with nice words that we're supposed to follow, because we are easily influenced. Like once there was this master in Tibet. I think, if I remember correctly, it was Geshe Ramjamba. He was a friend of the 13th Dalai Lama, if I remember correctly. And he was one of the few people who spoke to the Dalai Lama in a very, very direct way, like um, almost like friend to friend, and he liked to play jokes. So lots of stories of this Geshe. And one of these stories, he said, the 13th Dalai Lama wrote, made a comment, said, look at this master, look how wonderful he is. In his teachings, he was able to go to this monastery. Is this monastery, this nunnery, and they were all, they were crying. I mean, he was able to really touch their hearts. And and he answered, well, if this means that one, just mean being able to just bring emotions to someone, if that means teaching the Dharma, well, I'll show you. You know, so he organized something one day. He organized a big throne. They came with trumpets. Um, and he was at this same monastery, and in the middle of the teachings, so he starts talking about the suffering of carrots. They weren't carrots; they were those those like these turnips, white. So he was talking about the suffering of the turnips, labo in Tibetan, like carrots. So he was describing about how, when they grow in the ground, it's very painful, and then we come out of the soil, all the little, each one of these little roots is like ripping off a limb, and then when they're cut up for the soup, they keep feeling the pain, and then when they get in, when they're swallowed and go into the stomach, it's like being in the hell realm. And they looked around, people were crying like, oh, poor carrots. And so he went back to the Dalai Lama and said, you see, just to make people get emotional means nothing. It doesn't mean that you're really teaching the Dharma. And I'm giving you this example to say that when someone is put in a context where someone is put on a great throne and has all the respect, where this social, cultural respect is there and high, we naturally follow, we follow, and we develop faith. It's like following someone on TV, or if you have a title, or a position, then we have this tendency of following. But what's difficult is to be able to touch each and every person, really touching the experience of every person, adapting to the abilities in the mind of each person, and giving them what they need most. When Rinpoche, in the beginning of the 1980s, when he came to the West, one of the things he said was, I've come because I want to also try the power of Dharma. And this is what he's done in so many ways. I mean, having touched the mind, having touched the heart of so many people, from healing, giving meaning to life, just touching the lives, so many aspects, and so many of so many people's lives. How can I say? Once I asked Rinpoche in Milan to do a ceremony of healing, a healing ceremony called Chetrul, and another one called Chaptrul. And in this specific case, it was Chetrul. And it's quite, it's quite scenographic, yeah, people have to come with, dressed, and people are all tied up with strings, and then they get cut. I mean, there's lots of things. And then Rinpoche said, oh, with his infinite kindness, he said, okay, I'll do it, But then when he said, okay, I'll do it, then he said to me, I have spent years and years of my life doing so many healing ceremonies. And the first 10 years that I spent here in the West, I dedicated to healing. But I don't want to I don't want to be the one to heal. I want to transmit to you so that you have the tools to heal yourselves. And something that I've seen in some masters, but not always, is this fact of offering everything without attachment. I mean, sometimes someone can have an experience. Someone has knowledge, and they give, but not everything. Instead, Rinpoche tried to transmit everything, and so with self healing, what he gave was he gave the tools so that you could heal yourselves and not have to depend on a healing lama who comes every month to do these healing practices for you. And at the same time, when he came to the West, he made this commitment, his vow with his guru, who had just left his body. Children Rinpoche left his body in 1981, and Lama Gangchen came around like 1980, 81, 80, sorry, 1981, 82, just after he had left his body. And so this is when Lama Gangchen started coming to the West, and the commitment that he made was to dedicate 10 years to the body, 10 years to the speech, and 10 years to the mind. And after these first 10 years, Rinpoche once said to me, okay, the, the commitment, I have fulfilled my commitment to the West. But this is years ago, because so the first 10 years would be like 82 to 92 was about the body, and during those years, Rinpoche didn't really teach. He taught very little. His first disciples were his patients. They were, people that he was helping physically with physical help. And it was a time where Rinpoche was showing also, let's call them his powers, things, really difficult for us to understand, things about healing, about clairvoyance. Um, and from 1992, then this period dedicated to the word, to speech, began, where he taught self-healing and many other practices. So he was there, he was transmitting knowledge, and this started in 1992, and until about 2002, 2003, and then another 10 years to about 2012, and there he was dedicating. It was dedicated to the mind, and during that time, he was practicing with his disciples, and he would stay together and practice together. But he was almost like, excuse me for the expression, but like a little bit like a babysitter, like just kind of hand in hand, kind of like, like the kindergarten teacher. So I've already taught this to you. Now we're going to do it together, and like this it continued. And once, I don't remember when or where, but after these years had finished, so we're in 2012, 2013, in those years, when I was talking to Rinpoche, he said, I've fulfilled my commitment, but I have found among you Westerners um, a a um, a suitable vessel to receive my lineage. At the beginning, I thought I would teach very little because at the beginning, when I arrived to the West, I wanted to learn about the West, before giving teachings, and instead I found a very fertile ground, where we can where we can the, maintain alive this lineage, where we can harvest well and maintain alive this lineage. We could use many metaphors, like bridges or boats. So Rinpoche was a wonderful bridge, not just between East and West, from west to the east, or from east to west, but also from west back to east, but also at the same time, also between generations. He lived during a time in Tibet, after 59. That time, that time is finished. How can I say? In on this bridge, there are people who can go from one side to the other. And what Rinpoche did is he came, and he left us what was the most precious to him. As he himself said, more important than my own long life is the long life of the practice of the teachings. This is more important. And so here we find ourselves with a spiritual t- um, lineage that is so ample, so great. This is more than we can understand. Um, Someone could ask, but why us? But here we are. Rinpoche gave his heart, really gave his heart. It reminds me of Geshe Tendar, who was this the Geshe with a very high knowledge of Tantra and Sutra. He was also one of the most expert in Buddhism in India, and he spent some time in Milan, and one day, so Rinpoche was on his way to Kompa in Milan, and he was very, very direct. He took him by his um, he he took him by his lapel, and he brought him very close, and he called him. Oh, Kusho was very, very direct. He says, "I understand what you did. You gave the root of your heart." Referring to self-healing. He said, "Many won't understand, but I'm here to answer for you, to protect you. So if there's someone who doesn't understand or criticize, you don't worry. I'll be there to answer for you." And so in my point of view of what Rinpoche did, among many other things, I mean, he gave just the most precious thing ever. I mean, so not just from now, but since a long time now. I mean, we've received something precious. So what should we do? We should we should we should welcome it. We should take care of it and share. So what happens is to be able to share. I mean, if I receive something material, the more I share it, the less of it I'll have. If I have money and I share this money with others, the money is going to to finish. I mean, what if I have something physical? But when we talk about a spiritual heritage, it's the opposite. The more I share, the greater it becomes. So, so each one of us has this job to to take care of what we've received through teachings and examples, through his example in every moment of our lives. So one thing is receiving, also through books, through videos, through the presence of others. In this case is me or Lama Caroline. Each one of us, we need to receive. The first thing we need to do is receive. And once we've received and we've listened and we've reflected on it, then we need to maintain. The right way to maintain is not just to remember, but it's by putting into practice. This is the only real way that we can maintain. So by meditating in what has been taught to us, following following this life example, the way of speaking, the way of acting. I mean, why does a Buddha manifest himself in a body of flesh and bones? It's to show us that, to be able to communicate with us and show us that we can do that too. This is something very different. In Buddhism, Buddhism is much different than other spiritual traditions, where the sacred becomes something is unreachable. There's here I am, part of the profane, and then the sacred is something that I can't touch. And instead, in Buddhism, sacred is nothing other than the example of what I can realize, I should realize, and so I've heard, for example, so many times. So what would Rinpoche do in this example? And then people say, oh well, Rinpoche, Rinpoche, don't have those expectations from me to be that kind, that generous, etc. Instead, yes, because what way do we really have to maintain, to keep a lineage alive, is through knowledge. That's the easy part, and through experience, which is the putting into practice. Putting into practice means I am going to act in a way that doesn't come spontaneously, but I have this life, I have this example of this perfect life to follow. I mean, this is fundamental. And once we have knowledge and we have the experience, once we've received and we've maintained at that point, then we can transmit. At that point, we can share. In Tibetan, it's Zi Kyam Pelsum. Zi means to maintain, like to receive. Kyung means to sustain, and Pel means to increase. And this is what, for me, is something is fundamental, because there's something that's very clear. None of us, or at least not me, really has control over things. What's going to happen? What's not going to happen? What will tomorrow bring? We just don't know. We try to create certainties. We try to have certainties that this day is going to be like this, except this is going to happen like this and that. This is going to happen like this and that like that. And even our life, we have this habit of making programs. And we can program it, as much as we want, but knowing that it's an illusion. Knowing that some things are going to work out and other things are not. But we can't live this illusion as if it were reality, like the reality. Once Rinpoche said to me, for me, how one dies, it doesn't matter, because the body comes from the elements and it's going to go back to the elements, and it's not under our real control. What's important is how one lives. It's also for this reason, and this is from my own personal point of view, and I think it's important for everyone in this moment where Rinpoche left his gross body it's not up to us to talk or think about, how he died, what did he have, and why, and the details here and there. Sincerely, it changes nothing. But how he lived, yes. How he taught, yes. What he left us, yes. What his example was and how he is still an example for us. This is fundamental and important. And if someone simply wants to satisfy his own curiosity, there are thousands of things that one could follow and be satisfied. But what we need to connect ourselves to his life example, what with connect ourselves with what each one of us has received and what we will receive still. Um, Yesterday I was writing a short text, saying, okay, Rinpoche left this gross body, but he stays with us. He stays with us on different levels, and in this translation, um, I was making the translation. It was like he remains among us, or he remains in us, or he remains with us. Yes, he is still with us, not with his gross body, but on so many other levels. There's also, there's a real presence, because an enlightened being, a wisdom being, has his presence goes way beyond our perception, our ability to imagine. So I have no doubt about this. But this depends a lot on our ability to grow and our own levels of maturity. I've seen this with a lot of people. Luckily, this hasn't happened to me on a mundane level, but I've seen that, for example, when our parents um, die, maybe if maybe someone's 80 years old and the parent dies at 120. When a parent dies, there's something changes in the life of that person. There's something inside that says, okay, I'm not a child anymore. I can't. It's up to me now. It's something very strong that comes, because our parents, no matter how self-sufficient one is, or maybe lives alone, psychologically, and emotionally, energetically, the parent is still a support. And so when a parent dies, the child, they say, okay, now it's up to me. And one develops a different level of maturity. And so in this time where Rinpoche is no longer with us with the gross body, but so this means that, okay, to each one of us, maintaining the lineage alive depends on each one of us. It was easy to listen to teachings before about the about the teach. It was easy when he was alive to say, oh yes, his lineage alive, and then maybe now people are saying, oh no, but his reincarnation is going to come so soon. Is already putting the responsibility back onto him. No, it's up to us. I mean, but why? Why did Rinpoche just work so hard? Why he just dedicated his entire life, day after day, minute by minute? Why did he do all? Why did he work so hard? Because he wanted to have a big center? No. Because he wanted to be famous and known all over the world? No. Why? Because he believes, he He believes in each one of us more than we believe in ourselves. He, he, he loves us more than we love ourselves, because we love ourselves in a very ignorant way, because the things that we think are good for us are most often are not the things that actually bring us happiness. And that's why he gave so much importance to the Dharma, because at the end of the day, Rinpoche always um, did what's called like the four. So it's part of the practice of the Bodhisattva. Rinpoche is a perfect example of these four ways of guiding a disciple. So the first one is you have to help materially. You have to give little gifts. You have to, give money to those who need, or food. Those who need. And then you also need to be sweet. You have to say what people want to hear. Because imagine a bodhisattva, a wisdom being of great love. I mean, his objective is to be able to help beings. But in helping others, what happens is, one thing is helping material, and and then it's another thing to help the other, to help that one develop himself. So the only way that I can help you is if you have the minimum amount of trust in me and are close to me. So this first level of for these beings that aren't able to see spiritual qualities, or just taken or taken by material needs. So this wisdom being needs to meet their needs, give them an ear, um, or maybe be like the father that they don't have. I mean, someone needs also maybe a friend. I mean, so many different manifestations. So first, one helps on a physical, material level, and then secondly, saying things in a sweet way. And the other two is it's teaching through Dharma, and then being the example of the Dharma. So transmitting verbally and also as an example of life. So a master should never teach one thing and do the opposite. That would take away any power of that teaching. So why? I saw this great generosity of Rinpoche in every moment, in every aspect, to give gifts. I mean, they're like hooks. They're hooks, creating connections with people. So to be able to give them the Dharma. That's what it is. One of the most beautiful things is to believe in the potential, to really, really believe in the potential of each and every being. Most of us have a hard time believing in ourselves. But Buddhas and their manifestations in gross bodies like Rinpoche always showed that he believed in us. Because if Rinpoche didn't believe in us, then why would he? I mean, how could this have all come about? I mean, how could he have done so much work? Why would we have built all of this? I don't see any other reason, any other logic. If a being with so much wisdom believes in us, why should we not believe in ourselves? Okay, I understand we're ignorant, but we should trust. 'Cause there's no other way. The only way is that we need to take our steps. We need to follow the example. we need to become also us, like the Guru. The point that I wanted to bring to today is that life goes by quickly. Really goes by quickly. And the moments that we live, could maybe give it this idea that they're not the real moments. The real moments of life are yet to come. I don't know if I explain myself well in saying like this. When instead reality is here, and if we don't know how to live these moments well, the right way, then we just lose them. So I speak for myself, and I think many of us, I'm sure many of you listening, we don't have any more time to lose. We're not children anymore. What I mean to say is, each one of us, we have our habits. Each one of us has our own problems, has his own problems. But we need to go beyond, a little bit beyond, and do what we know is right to do. Follow the right example. Stop, full stop. Someone would say, "Oh, that's difficult." Yeah, that's living is difficult. We need to really put effort to put effort in being what we want to be, what we want to become. There's a saying in many cultures is said like this, but even in the Hebrew culture it says, if not now, when? If not me, then who? A few days ago, someone said to me, "Oh, because Rinpoche left this body because we've run out of merits." Sincerely speaking, if 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 we have this if we had this opportunity, and we still have this opportunity to live together with such a marvelous being, to see him, to touch him, to see him, to receive his wisdom and be under his care on this planet where there are other 7 billion people. I mean, we are this small small percentage of the people. If we don't have the merits, who does? So instead we need to rejoice. But it's not just about rejoicing, but it's when we receive a great gift, it's something marvelous, but that gift comes also together with responsibility. Because when we receive something in our hands, we need to take care of it. We receive a beautiful house as a heritage. Okay, well, now we need to clean it, we need to take care of it, we need to do what's necessary. We receive what we receive, we need to take care of. We have a child, we need to raise him, whatever it is. When we receive something precious, we need to take care. And each one of us has received during these moments that is had, and it doesn't mean that the more the more the more moments one had, the richer one is. But no, each one of us has a spiritual heritage, and it doesn't mean that the more years you were there, the richer one is. It depends on um, how open we were. When you look back in the history, there were disciples and masters, where it was where just one encounter was necessary, one teaching was enough to develop an enormous spiritual heritage, and so it really depends on how capable we are in receiving and taking care of what we've received. So we have this spiritual heritage, the important spiritual heritage, each one of us. And what should we do with this? We need to take care of it, give it value by remembering, feeling the feeling the honor of being in this position, and with this feeling of pride, we need to put everything into practice and remember that we're not children anymore, because soon it's going to be our turn to leave this body. And what we do now is what we're going to be able to take with us. So we don't mm, we don't have time, especially now, to it's not the time to be sweet with our bad habits, to be gentle with our bad habits, because life goes on, and with total sincerity with ourselves, so we need to ask ourselves, so what do I want from this life? Where do I want to go? And in this moment of of coronavirus, etc., this is a great opportunity to reflect on our lives, on what we're doing, where we're going, because a sign of how we're going is how we feel when we're by ourselves. Because if we feel good when we're by ourselves, it's a good sign. Instead, if we're not fine when we're alone, but we need lots of other activities or other people, it means that there's something inside that's not that's not going right. When I say to be alone, I don't mean to be alone with your telephone on with social media. I mean really to be alone, but when we can be quiet and alone and be well, then we're doing the right things. But our society in general is living a very peculiar situation that's showing lots of different things, and each one of us needs to ask himself, what do I want from my life? Because things don't last forever. People, situations, the body. Today my body's healthy. What do I want to do today with this healthy body? I don't know how long it's gonna last. Just like Shantideva in the Bodhisattva Charvatara said in one of the chapters, maybe it's the chapter on the enthusiastic effort or on meditation, where he says, Shantideva says, I'm talking about his body, he says, I give you food, I let you rest. Then you should do what I want you to do at least. You are living for me. I'm not living for you. And it was like using the metaphor, like it's like if you pay someone to work for you, so if you pay someone to do work for you, in those hours that is working for you should actually be doing something productive. This reminds me, that we have this opportunity, so we should not live this life as a means, like an end to, live the life in and of itself. But we have all these marvelous opportunities. So we should take its meaning, make it meaningful. There are two two things that so we should use this life to become a better person. You know, um, facing our own mental defilements, our own shortcomings, and then we should also put ourselves at the service of other beings through the Dharma. These are the two most important things that we should do with this lifetime. Excuse me if I say it like this. Let me try to say it in a kind way. I sincerely, and I'm speaking absolutely sincerely, I don't think I'm special. And I don't believe that I have a mission in this world. I think I have a great opportunity, and I want to take advantage of it the best I can. I want to be at the service of all those I can help, all those I can benefit. What's important is not if I help or not. In other words, how can I say? It's 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 not important that that I am the person who's helping, but what's important is that my actions can be of benefit, because sometimes we become, how can I say, we can just be taken by traps of selfishness. And in these traps of selfishness, what happens is one believes that they're doing something for others, when instead it's just another manifestation of selfishness. So the question is, what's my priority? The well-being of others, or being the one who is helping? Our objective should be to benefit others. I don't need to be the one who is helping, but I should be the one who puts himself at the disposal of others to help them. And when we have this clarity that we are here to serve, and the more we develop ourselves spiritually, the clearer it becomes that we're here to serve. For me, Rinpoche has always been one of the greatest examples of this. I, I remember once we were together in Tibet after an entire day receiving hundreds and hundreds of people, really without even stopping for a minute. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. Finally, the last meeting ended. Someone who came here and this. So at a certain point, Rinpoche says, "Oh, I need to go and see this person who needs me." I knew the situation a little bit, and I said, "Rinpoche, come on, really, okay, yes, your compassion has no ends, your patience has no ends, but your body's tired." And it was someone who someone who really had a pretext from my limited and ordinary point of view, it seemed like just a pretext to get attention. If I remember well, it was because there was like a mouse in the room. It was something that I thought was really silly. "Oh, Rinpoche, I need you." It's just, and then I said, "Okay, Rinpoche, let me go. I'll try to help. Your compassion is infinite. Your patience is infinite, but your body needs to rest." And he looked at me and he said, "If every day we say, 'May all beings have happiness and its causes. May all beings be free from suffering and its causes. And then faced in front of someone who needs help, we just abandon them. At that point, I said, "Oh, okay, I will come with you." And so he went and he spent, the half an hour, talked to the person to help, to pacify whatever it was. And at that point, he went to sleep. He was absolutely exhausted. But I never saw him stop. Never. It would never, never stop helping anyone he had in front of him. The Bodhisattva, the Buddha. What's the function of a Buddha is to be at the service of beings. And if we want to follow this example, that's what we should be trying to do. What's the main difference? I mean, yeah, there are many differences, but one of the fundamental differences between a Buddha, like um, a very spiritually highly developed, and then an ordinary being is full of suffering. The Buddha lives and exists at the service of others. His priority, her priority is the well-being of others, and instead of samsaric ordinary beings, live at the service of the I and the my. Even in the Guru Puja, there's the verse that cites this. In following the example, I mean, it's this. I mean, to go and see and say, like, okay, how many years do I have left to live in this body? I don't know. Let's think positive. Now I'm 38 now. Maybe another 40, maybe 50. About, it's possible. Yeah. At my grandfather is 97. So regardless of the age, these years go by quickly. So what do I want to do in this next period in these years that I have left? I want to. Do I want to die a better person, or do I want to just keep going on with the emotional problems that I've always carried? One day we're going to die. We're going to leave this gross body, this name, this image. After a while, if we're lucky, we're going to be reborn in a beautiful family. And we're a baby learning how to speak, mama, papa, and we're just back to zero. And what who knows what opportunity we'll have to be able to meet marvelous beings like we did in this life, to have, or if we'll meet these examples like we've had in this life. Who knows if we're going to have this chance or not? If we just take into consideration this planet, how many people on this planet have examples, role models, real role models, spiritual, like who have these human qualities. As a child, I remember something that I was just not able to understand. Maybe I was quite small. I saw other children who had their idols. So there was the photo of the football player or the movie actor, and I couldn't understand. And I say, how could you be following this one? What should you be? Why would you follow him? It was difficult for me. And then when I met Rinpoche, I said, oh, there's my role model. There's my example to follow. But most people on this planet, unfortunately, haven't had the same opportunity that we have had, to meet such marvelous people, independently of religion. I'm talking about wisdom beings. Even Buddha has manifested in so many different forms. It's not that the Buddha manifests only in the form of Tibetan lamas. No, a Buddha can manifest in many different cultures, many different contexts. But my main point is that in this life, we have this unique opportunity. What are we going to do with it? Because soon we're going to die. What have we done? I believe and I hope deeply, and Buddhists exist. They can help us to follow, and develop love. Rinpoche always talked about, inner peace is the most solid foundation for world peace. And peace with with everything, with peace. Just he was. He repeated this again and again. Doing pujas together, so reciting mantras. He didn't need to recite the mantras. He was there. Oh, Rinpoche likes doing pujas, I would hear sometimes. Even when the days when I was in the hospital with Rinpoche and I asked him, do you want me to bring you the text to read? And he just didn't. He said, no, I have everything here. I don't need anything. Inside me, there's everything. I don't need anything else. It's not that he was in the car to do the, that he would start doing the puja in the car because he liked doing the puja, or would go into the gompa for hours and hours because he just liked reciting puja. No, he would take us by the hand and say, come on, let's go. Because he always believed, and he believes still. So we need to honor this luck, this richness of all of this, by putting energy in there, giving it the right weight, value. And how are we going to do this? With our practice, with meditation, with the recitation of mantras, by applying the Dharma in our daily life, in our way of being. We receive, we maintain, and we share. This is the way, the main way. This is what I think is the most important thing that we can do. We should also remember that Rinpoche always said, Western Buddhism. He talked about Western Buddhas, and in the last years, it wasn't even so much about Western Buddhism, but about modern, because also in the East, the culture has changed. So, so even for them, the practice of health healing was fulfilled their needs too. So today we receive, today we have this just enormous heritage, the spiritual heritage, and it's up to us to maintain it through our practice, through our words, through our thoughts, our interactions. Like when it said in the blessings of the Buddha or the holy beings, they're always present. It's like some kind of radio channel that's always transmitting, and it depends on it depends on us. And if we are synchronized with that frequency, So what's the best way to be synchronized with this frequency? The best way to to synchronize ourselves with the Buddha is through the Guru, and the best way to sync with the Guru is by putting into practice what he's taught us, by following the example, our way of being, our way of speaking, our way of relating with others. This is the most important thing. Because years go by, generations change, and through all this, we keep going. This life, and then in the next life. What's important is what we do with this life, how we use this opportunity, because the problem isn't living and dying. No, it's how we're using this lifetime, how we're using these opportunities. This is a moment to give value to this heritage, because we have this infinite heritage, but we need to be able to receive it, to maintain it, and and pay homage to it by sharing it. Something that could be quite useful. I invite each one of you. You've had your own experiences with Lama Gangchen Rinpoche. I invite you to write them down, first of all for yourselves, because the memory over time changes. You know, even today, we start, even if we, tell a story about what happened 5 years ago, it's very different from that moment. It's very important for ourselves to maintain this connection. So we should write down our memories and stories, the insights we've had. Because when we go to verbalize them, we put, ink to paper. This solidifies this experience, and it keeps the memory stronger within us. So, and once we've written it down, we can a part of it or all of it. At that point, we can share it. You know, but we, you know, but we shouldn't be writing down the memories because we're going to make a book. Or I guess eventually, maybe eventually this will happen. But we should write down these memories to keep them alive within ourselves, and and to give the opportunity to others in the future, to to give the opportunity to others who didn't have this good fortune to be able to know a part of him. Because we there's much. mm, we've been able to know him in one of his aspects, just but being able to share our experience with his life, this life example with others is something absolutely beautiful, for the future. But for us now, it's very important. So to be able to keep that memory alive, our own memories, how can I say? Like Rinpoche would always say, slowly, slowly, quickly, without, without hurry, but not with, but not staying still either. We need to move forward. Um, um, Many of my masters of this life have already left their body. Um, Luckily, there are younger masters who are still alive, still here to guide us. I remember the first master who physically left was the abbot of Dashilompo in India, who was also one of the masters of Lama Gangchen. I remember when Rinpoche went into his room after he had left his body, and we sat down there. We did the puja, and Rinpoche was crying like a baby. So it's normal that emotionally one is touched. But I remember that first time, I mean, it really was one of the in this Kerimboche of Tashilumpan, Kachalo Sampunsok, really someone very important to me, and really, even today, he was someone very, very special, and I haven't known anyone with those characteristics. And when he left us, I was really very sad. But I can tell you with certainty that what remains is gratitude, and this this great this great gratitude, this feeling of having had great luck, for this opportunity, not the luck that we had, but the luck that we still have, because we have this spiritual heritage, we have these memories. I mean, the good fortune of everything that we have. It's not, we can't take for granted, can't take any of this for granted. Having been so close to such a marvelous being, and to be close still now. This reminds me of an important master, Marpa Lotsawa. Marpa Lotsawa was a disciple of Naropa, who was disciple of Tilopa, etc. So these are among the most important masters of Buddhism. And Marpa, one time, he was living in central Tibet, kind of close to the border with India, and he was married. He had his house, and one day he had a neighbor, and this neighbor she was absolutely indifferent to him. And he, being a realized being, a great bodhisattva, a realized being, he wanted to create contact with her. He wanted, for her benefit, because it's explained that when a being comes into contact with a bodhisattva or a Buddha, simply coming into contact with them creates this link that is of great benefit. Because once there's that link, it's going to give fruit to other things and maintain. So we can just imagine a kind of seed, So imagine a seed, in a very arid, dry place, So you have this drive. Once you bring a little bit of water, that water brings a tremendous amount of it was very powerful. So So creating a mental link, an emotional link with that person is very powerful. So Marpa wanted to create this kind of link with his neighbor. It's not like, in apartments was like, you know, like right next door. No, instead he had his house with his land, and so he would go to his neighbor and bring her gifts, but nothing, just totally indifferent. Neither she showed neither aversion or attraction. And so one day he said, okay, so I'm not able to create a positive link. I'll try to do it in a negative link. So during the harvest season, he went with his horse, and he just totally destroyed all of her fields, trying to get her mad. He wanted her to get mad at him to create some kind of link with him. And not even there was there a link created. And so this example has been used for centuries to say that when someone doesn't have a karmic connection with an enlightened being, with a spiritually developed person, then instead, each one of us, we've had this marvelous opportunity, still have. So we need to make good use of it, make the best use of it, and rejoice for this opportunity that we've had without a shadow of a doubt. Rejoice, because we're not special. I'm not special. I don't think that any of us is special. We have a unique opportunity. We had the opportunity to know, and we have this opportunity of staying connected to this being of wisdom and of love. It's not because I'm special, I was close to the master. No. It's because this strange interdependence, I have this opportunity, and now it's up to me to make good use of it, each one of us. There's so many things that I could say, and there'll be other moments for this. What's important is from the time of Buddha, Buddha gave importance to having like friendship in the real sense of the real sense of the word, that have good friendship among all of us who have this same spiritual tradition, friendship, like to be concerned about the well-being of each person, to love everyone. And of course maybe one has more attraction, more affinity towards one person and less affinity to another. This is normal, but it's fundamental. I mean, how could we think to talk about the happiness of all beings if we're not even concerned about the happiness of our own spiritual brothers and sisters? So, and Buddha spoke often about respect and harmony, and taking care of our brothers and sisters, those who are on the same spiritual path and beyond. I mean, this is fundamental, to have respect. It's fundamental. Yesterday I was reflecting, on a memories. I've known marvelous people in this lifetime of mine, incredible masters, very special. and luckily some are still there with their gross body. But among all of them, someone with the qualities and the characteristics like Rinpoche, I've never seen before. And I'm not saying that because I'm his disciple, his spiritual son. I say it in all sincerity, in all clarity. This, all these all these amazing beings, I recognize their qualities too. Comes to my mind, Nima Tuku, every day sending messages. How are you? I'm very sad that Rinpoche is not here anymore in this body. I just always thinking about you. You're all so far. I am thinking about you. Every 2 or 3 days now he sends me a message. Before it was every day now, 2 or 3 days. He's just a wonderful, wonderful being, incredible. So many aspects. And this is something, it was so beautiful that I had this opportunity. Just how, when spiritual, when realized beings meet, it's it touches me, but with joy. I mean, having been able to see this, I'm moved with joy. It's almost like love at first sight. I had the opportunity of seeing just this the love between Lama Gangchen and Nimatuku that they had between them. I mean, I don't know how often in one's life one could see something like that. But among all of these masters, Rinpoche had just very special, unique qualities. It's great. It's a great joy for me to have this honor, to not for me, but for each one of us. For those who know him physically, and even those who didn't have that opportunity, but were able to receive his blessings through self-healing or other teachings. When we do the practices, the preliminary practices, when we do Malu Semchen, we invite these wisdom beings. It's not a formality. It's because these beings are there. And when we open ourselves, open up our heart, and we invite them, they come, they're there. And this allows us, as I said before, this seed, it's like it's this, that water that's given to the seed starts to move. These are the blessings that we're receiving. So each one of us has had this opportunity, this connection, and now it's up to us to cultivate this seed with love, with faith, with affection, with faith. That there's so many people have so much gratitude and deep love towards Rinpoche. I can assure you that one of the most important things that we need to do is to grow up. Some time ago, there was some time ago, I saw a metaphor about a teacher that I liked a lot, that talked about this relationship between disciple and master. In the metaphor, they said, what's the best offering a flower can give to the gardener? Is to blossom, because the gardener doesn't make the flowers blossom, but he 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 waters, he adds fertilizer, and he does everything necessary for the flower to blossom. So when the flower blossoms, it's the greatest honor that the flower um, can, you know, can make to the gardener. So all of us, a thought, an interaction, a word. I mean, there's so many, you know, you know, the master did in so many ways. With a word, with a gesture. He was giving us all the conditions to blossom, and each one of us knows what our problems are. Maybe the ones that we know that we can we could go beyond, but we're still just too attached to our own vision about how we are, or are the habits that we know we can abandon. You know, we all have the conditions, and so the greatest offering, the greatest honor that we can give, the most beautiful thing, and absolutely that we can give to him. I hear people say, "I want to do something for Rinpoche," and and, and people think about the thing the things that he liked to eat, or the flowers, or who knows what else. But well, let's do something for him. But what Rinpoche wanted, what he liked the most. I mean, he wanted to see us blossom. I never saw him show any kind of disappointment. He, he was never disappointed, with when faced with our problems. I watched him repeat the same thing for 30 years, and every time he repeated it with the same love, with the same patience, and the day that and the time that the person actually understood and did it, then he says, "Good, thank you." He didn't go to say like, "Oh, for 30 years I've been telling you that." No, because with his love and with his wisdom, I never saw him relate with others, with us, with arrogance, or with any kind of expectation that we need to be the way he wants us to be. No, he accepted each, accept each one and put effort into making us better. And so it's really up to us to do this work now. So I can say, "Oh, well, Lama always accepted me for who I was." For sure, there's no doubt about that. Otherwise, he wouldn't be a Buddha if it were not like that. But it's up to us to 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 put effort into blossoming, and we can do it. What I'm saying is this: it's not because I don't trust you. It's the opposite. But in this moment where we are emotionally touched, these emotions have strong a strong power. They can direct us in the direction that we need the direction we need to take is not the direction of suffering. It's to do what Rinpoche always wanted most, to see us blossom. And this is what's most important for each one of us. for all those who teach beings who are there. Let me repeat one more time. This, at the time of being a child is gone, and that's not even the right term. It's infantile is the right word. It's the time to be mature, to go beyond the I and the my, and follow the example of being at the service of others. And no one needs to, like shine like the star, because nobody is special. But at the same time, we all are. We're all unique. But the point is not about being special. It's about using this special opportunity and chance that we have. This will show in the words we use and the actions we take in everyday life. And we'll have many opportunities together to continue this path to path every day. Like Rinpoche would say, when you wake up in the morning, you know, what more important than sitting down to meditate, you need to do your inner makeup, put on your inner makeup, to prepare yourself for the day, to be loving and respectful and gracious towards others. And what's important is, we have a role model and say, I want to be like you, and so I need to act like you. So what would Rinpoche have said? What would Rinpoche have done? Would he have given priority to him, to the I and the my for himself or for others? Would he have reacted with aggression or with kindness? This is what we need to see and follow. This is up to us, because for our great fortune, we have an example to follow. Let's follow with joy. I'm very happy to have picked up again the Wednesday evening at the Kunpen to give continuity to this and others. And in this next period, we'll see how we're going to be able to look at the program of the center, because it's a difficult moment to organize things, because we don't know, when the center can open again. We don't know how it's going to open, who will be able to travel. For now, there's no certainty about any of this. The certainty that we have is that here we're alive and we have this marvelous opportunity, and it's up to us to make the most of it in every day, independently of where we are or with whom we find ourselves. So we're going to try to make a program and dedicated to the memory of Rinpoche, and dedicated to celebrating his life and this moment of our lives, because beautiful things need to be celebrated. So this is something that's important. This is going to be the year of celebrations for the life of Rinpoche, and we'll have many moments together in many ways. I hope that the moment where we'll be able to hug everyone. We just need to be patient. I don't know when it's going to be, but a big hug to everyone. We'll give continuity to the teachings in the coming days. So let's do the final dedications. I'd like to recite the prayer that Trishan Rinpoche has composed. I sent everyone two prayers, one written by Paponka Rinpoche and one by Trishan Rinpoche. And these are a request for the quick return. And I want to recite with you the one written by Trishan Rinpoche.
Oya de Chingyabo Lama Heru Kaya de Chen Tarpa Choge Shayane de Chen Tapshe Ngwe Nimpe Chen de Chen Yabyon Sungye Dakyunzo Lo San Tempe Nyenche Sipe Mi Tupten de Gud zime kyun yam por Chin le drowe Marie mumpa chum Shempen le dro yarpe mumparate Gongkyo pawo pamo tsonam ki Meto dudan rolmo yerkedre Kala chepe tsulge shekshintu Dacha dungwe selde yutsangong Shiwe kuye drowa dzumge su Shiwe sungge chedra nawarajeb Shiwe tunye shempe chamse shi Shide sempa chembo nyurjansh Tupten dutsi nimpo shempen chu Semchen rang kamda mungoru Dugu tsimze drubuan rinpoche Rime drowe ninche nyurjansho Druwan kenye drowe shideratem Daso namge shide tentonyer Jisi drowa shide trongchotu Male tesi kesha tensechi Dacha remen jishin drupala Lama concho sumge tujinda Kebar tenson dorje shukdense Namshi chinle maye tong trozo Kewa kuntu yanda lama dang Drame cheke pela long che ching Sada lamge yönte rabzone Dorje change kopang nyurto besho Nimo dele tsendele Nime kuyan delekshing Nyensen takto delekpe Concho sumke jingelo Sumke ngodrub sol Concho sumke trashe yesho All'alba o al tramonto, di notte o durante il giorno, possano i tre gioielli concederci le loro benedizioni, possano aiutarci ad ottenere tutte le realizzazioni e cospargere il sentiero della nostra vita con molti segni di buon auspicio. Grazie a tutti.